Good morning. I am going to be obedient and just share out good to be able to communicate with everybody. This is for, I'm gonna have to turn this background off because I'm gonna need you to see this paper today. What we're gonna talk about today, if it will let me turn the background off. Okay, so I don't know if you all have ever heard of a SWOT analysis, SWOT. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you're supposed to use a SWOT analysis. Okay, good. There we go. As you can see, I'm at work, so this is the work thing, and this is a life thing, and I'm learning that that you can't. It's hard to separate the two. So with the SWOT analysis, what they want you to do is they want you to be able to, when you're thinking of making a decision or what have you, to really to pull back and to be able to analyze, okay, like, all right, what am I good at? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are some opportunities that I have and what are some threats? And some things that people have been revisiting with this is saying, well, let's not say weaknesses, because if you ask people what their weaknesses are, they will either not see them because they think they're fine, or they'll tell you everything wrong. If you ask people, they usually do this with companies, what are some of the weaknesses of the company, the organization, what have you, they'll tell you everything that's wrong with it. And then you get stuck and it's like kind of pity patish, it's like, okay, well, what are some things that we're strong with? You have some people who believe they're stronger in areas that maybe aren't necessarily their strengths, or for the organization. They may be areas they like, but they're not necessarily areas of strength or productivity or growth or what have you. Opportunity is okay. So, well, what are some things that are right in our wheelhouse to be able to do or control, or some things that are coming our way that we do have the opportunity to grow in or to continue to produce whatever the correct product or whatever's going, things like that. And then what are some threats? And so, what I want to talk about today is the T in threats. And before you all log off, I think this is all about work. Please don't log off yet. I want you to think about yourself. And I want you to think about some things that are some threats right now. And this is why I had to stop what I was doing. I was supposed to be doing something else right now, but I had to stop because I realized you have to look at some of the things that you may think are weaknesses and let the Lord use them his way. Like, it's not your time. So for example, for me, one of my weaknesses I would say is, my attention span is like 2 seconds long. My mind constantly jumps. I'm always trying to do more than I can do. I get excited. One of my strengths could be I'm a visionary, but at the same time, sometimes when you see this huge big picture and you're a dreamer, taking care of the small details becomes like kind of irritating to you, or you tend not to follow up with some of the smaller details like you should because you're such a big picture type person, or what have you. But one of the things I realized was a threat was anytime you don't put God first and you allow him to change whatever little plans you had, that's a threat. So, okay, keep this in mind. I'm gonna show you another visual. I'll take these visuals with you and keep it short because my cousin told me last time, I was like, you talk for 20 minutes. Yes, that I am talking about Sharita. But thank you, because sometimes you gotta listen to wise counsel. I'm gonna keep it short. This is a number line. Remember when I said this is your brain, this is your brain? No, on drugs. No, this is a number line. And a number line can be anywhere. For the sake of this particular number line, let's say we're gonna start this at 0. 0, no value, right? We know anything to this side of the number line, and this may be the mirror image, so I don't know if this is going the way I really want this to go, but just think of it like this. If this is 0, yeah, this is showing you the opposite direction, which is going to irritate me. Okay, so without looking at it, think of it like this. 0 is no value, okay? What is the number higher than 0? 1. It's the number with value, 1. Like I have 1 apple versus no apples. Okay, if I keep adding to that and moving in the right direction, the right side of the number line, what's going to happen? Everything increases in what? Value, whether I realize it has value or not. Okay, it increases in value. Anything to the left of the number line, think about it. So what's in front of 1? If you had to visualize that, well, nothing, 0. Okay, but on the number line, can you continue to move forward in the opposite direction? Absolutely. Think about debt. Think about temperatures. So like, yes, there are some things called what? Negative numbers. So they're still very real numbers, trust from a sister who don't want the bankruptcy. They're real numbers, but they're just in the opposite direction. Here's my point. Anything, God is number 1. God is first. And I'm talking to people who profess to be Christians. Lord is the first in my life, giving first honor to God who is the head of my life. Okay, this is for all y'all. Even if you don't say it that way. if you're professing that he's first, so whether you're on your job or whatever, he's still first. And I was having a conflict of interest, like, okay, I'm on my job. I can only think of job stuff. And anytime something comes to mind, somebody to, think about, somebody to connect with, somebody to pray for, an idea for ministry, let me push it to the side, hold it, because then I feel like I was feeling like I was robbing God, to be honest. I feel like I was saying, I'm at my job, my body's here, but my brain's not here. Lord, please deliver me. I don't want to be, breaking a commandment and stealing from work time. And I was having this huge conflict because with my attention span, my mind jumps constantly all day. If you've ever had one conversation with me, the subject will change 5 times. All the people who I love to talk to and who enjoy actually talking to me, their minds does the exact same things. So if I don't talk to you on a regular basis, it's probably because you have a normal train of thought and I can't follow. If me and you do talk a lot, that says something about you. Okay, so the point is, we're going to connect this back to what we looked at the first time. Anything we put before God loses value. So even with our jobs, our spouses, God still reigns and God still rules. So there's going to be times when we're going to have to stop and be like, wait, what? Lord, is that what you really want me to do? Or, I don't know, Lord. And sometimes when some of our threats are, going back to the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats, some of our threats, and I'm about to shoot myself in the foot because I just asked a whole bunch of y'all to volunteer your time. And some of y'all gonna have to tell me no. Because you did it out of the kindness of your heart, because you're one of those people who volunteers for everything. And you're gonna have to look back and be like, yeah, I said yes to her, but I really didn't ask God about that one. Because God knows what your summer gonna look like, I don't. So with that being said, yes, I am actually sending this to my volunteers, which sounds crazy to send them this. But once again, anything you put before God loses value. And as we're asking God to bless the things that we do, and we're saying, hey, I have a strength in that area. I have a skill set in that area. Just because we have strengths and skill sets in certain areas doesn't mean that we're supposed to serve in every area. And I am learning that. So shout out to Marlena, who helps me to learn that a lot. Sometimes when we think our weaknesses are like, oh, for me, I'll throw out in a minute. Somebody offered me literally yesterday an opportunity to make $10,000 more than I make now. And I had to look, and the first thing I thought of was my weakness. And I said, oh, that job is like 2 hours away. I have narcolepsy. I can't drive. I saw it through the lens of my weakness. And then I had to realize, whoa, what God do you serve? If that's God's will for you to do that position, that's different. You give it to God. I automatically was like, and I thought of all the reasons it wouldn't work. I'm not going to be able to be here to pick up my kids. It's going to be too much time. I don't know those people often. And it was like, wow, that was we talk about making decisions. When I looked at the skill set of what was required for the position and my limited knowledge, but with my background, I'm like, I could totally knock that out the park, not being arrogant, but it was like, that's just like saying you trained to be a chef and they're asking you to be, to cook. And you're like, yeah, I've been doing that for about almost 30 years. Got it. 25, 30 years, I ain't trying to up the number. But it was just like, wait a minute, regardless, that's once again, me disqualifying myself and saying, but wait a minute, I don't want the opportunity to lose value. Maybe the opportunity was really for me just to give to somebody else, which I tried to do, and we'll let God work that out. But then I had to come back to, okay, one of my threats is, one of your threats could be allowing either one of these things at the top to dominate. So maybe you have such a skill set that you're trying to serve everywhere and everybody, and you're about to exhaust yourself. And one of your threats is you're losing time with your own doggone family. You're not taking the time to take care of your health. Like, you got time to go to 12 meetings for 5 different groups, but you don't have time to exercise and get at least 10 hours of sleep, and make sure you're eating fruits and vegetables, because you busy. It's like, do you even have naps? Like, who doesn't have time for naps? A lot of people. My mother-in-law says busy means being under Satan's yoke, and God never called us to be busy. God called us to be kind, loving, fruitful, even multiply, and do a lot of things in his service, care for widows and orphans and all types of things. But he didn't call everybody to everything all the time. And so as I cut this video off, I just want to remind you, when you need to, like, I'm learning that, okay, I need to, if God gives me an idea, I can't tell him, not right now, God, because I'm doing something else. And I committed to be faithful to my job. And I know you're trying to, I believe, bring things to my mind so I don't forget, but not right now, God, just hold on. I'll get to that later. And I had to, and this has been a work in progress, but that thing, I don't care where you work, when you feel something coming to your mind, jot it down and be like, Lord, is that for right now? And be willing to stop. And you're like, Chandra, people can't just do that. Well, that's what we've been taught. Okay. That no, you need to put these many hours in here or there. And that's a lie, because the Holy Spirit is in you all the time. He never takes a break. God is watching over you all the time. Jesus died that you were covered and free from your sin and that you can live in liberty all the time. So how in the world do we feel like we need to compartmentalize our lives and say, I'm at work from here to here, and this is what I do, and anything outside of that? No, God can give you excellence on your job, but he can also, and he can also give you ideas and visions and dreams and connections and reminders. He is the ultimate everything we think we use our smartphones for, or any type of phones that gives you reminders like, oh, don't forget to be here. And there's a calendar and there's a thing to keep time and there's a thing to track steps. He was all of that before we had all of that. He's been tracking our steps. He's been sending us reminders. He's been sending us emails and updates and alerts and saying, okay, you need to, calm yourself and sit down and take a time. My email tells me, do you need focus time? Do you need a break? The Lord been telling me that you need a rest. You're doing the most. No, I didn't say sign up for that. Your calendar is full. So how many of us have a full calendar or full plate and we're not listening? I'm gonna have you do a quick test and then I'm gonna get off. I want you, and that's not fine thinking, like seriously, take this test. If you care about me, take this test. If you don't care about me, that's okay. If you care about yourself, take this test. But I want you to do, put your name in the middle, divide the paper like that. Okay, you got all these 4 areas in your life, right? Okay, I want you to put down in these 4 areas, and you may have more than 4. Okay, so what are some of the roles you play? So for example, here's some of my roles. I have the mom role, I have the wife role, I have the role at my job here where I work, okay? But then I have the ministry role, what I do in ministry, like organized religion wise. And then it's just like whatever, then I was like, oh, I have the daughter role because I have my mom. And I'm so serious. And I have the sister role. Like, what am I doing with my whole sister role? If you start breaking down your roles, and some of you are in different organizations, I'm not even going there. Like, what is my role in the task force? Or what is my role in such and such organization? Once you do that, whatever space you have in there, take a pencil and write down some of the things that are important for you to be able to experience or accomplish in those roles. Some of the things you're doing. You'll notice like, wow, okay, this is, once you fill up that little box, okay, stop. And just say, maybe for this season, these are the things I can handle right now. And so the next time someone says, well, can you do such and such? I want you to slow down before you say yes and say, okay, let me get back with you. Thanks for the opportunity. I had somebody do this, like, what all does this entail? That's a good question to ask too. What does this all entail? Because some stuff sounds little, then you get into it and be like, you should have put that in right. No, I didn't mean sign up for all that. But go through, do a quick SWOT analysis, do a little chart with yourself, and see where you are. And don't confuse ministry, by the way, with God time. Because God time is not the same thing as ministry. Ministry is when you serve others, but God time is when he sits you down and you are able to have time with him and he ministers to you. And that could be quiet time. That could be reading your word. That could be prayer. That could be just, that's a date time with the Lord. I under Wi-Fi will put, daytime with my spouse. Okay, when's my daytime with God? And no, it's not church. Because when I'm at church, I'm not with just God. We're not just together. We're with other people. That ain't intimacy. That's worship. That's fellowship. Things like that. But just give yourself a reality check of how far are you spreading yourself? And then prayerfully say, God, even if the things I'm trying to do right now in those areas, what is for this season? I may be not momming it out of the park when it comes to, preparing for certain things. Like maybe last year, preparing for college and savings was not like the whole thing. It was just having moments with each kid, making time to be like, wait a minute, man, I haven't seen my kids all day. And besides just making sure everybody eat and do their homework, I just wanted to have some moments. And that was like a big deal. That was a high expectation. It wasn't something amazing. I can't say I took them to cultural events, But it was just like, come sit up in a room with me and let's watch a movie and laugh. What'd you do today? You know, let's try to make time for that once a week or something like that. So go through, look at yourself and those things like, Lord, here are some stuff that I need to do versus here's some I just want to be able to do. But would you show me in the season what you're calling me to do in these areas that you're allowing me to serve in, so that I don't disservice anybody trying to be of service to too many other people and I miss the people you assign me to because I allow myself to sign up for some stuff that you didn't assign me to. So be blessed, have an amazing day, and I'm gonna get back to what I'm supposed to be doing without feeling guilty this time, knowing that when God calls you to say something or do something or share something, you're supposed to share it. So I hope I don't lose all my volunteers. I ain't gonna lie, on the selfish side. But if I do, I totally understand and I trust God to do what he's gonna do with 2, 3, 4, 5, or however many people that we are able to have. But it's more important that we be obedient to him in his calling and put him first in all those decisions so that we don't end up becoming our own worst enemy by walking outside of his will and doing good things, but they're not God ordained things. All right. Love you. Be blessed. And yeah, have a great day.